Watching Joker Folie Deux wasn't just disappointing, it was painful. The kind of painful that leaves you questioning why this sequel exists in the first place. If you thought the original Joker was polarizing, the sequel takes that divisiveness to a whole new level. And fair warning, there will be spoilers as we dissect why this movie falls flat on almost every level. Let's start with the basics. The original Joker 2019, while controversial, was a huge success, both critically and commercially. It was a deep dive into the psyche of a damaged individual, wrapped in a gritty portrayal of Gotham that felt closer to a psychological drama than a comic book movie. Joaquin Phoenix delivered an Oscar-winning performance that elevated the film, despite some criticisms about its portrayal of mental illness and violence. Naturally, a sequel was greenlit, but did we really need one? The answer, judging by Folie Deux, is a resounding no. Why Joker didn't need a sequel? The first Joker film ended on a note that left viewers with enough ambiguity to reflect on Arthur Fleck's transformation into the Joker. There wasn't a pressing need to continue his story, and that's where the fundamental problem with Joker Folie Deux lies. It doesn't have a story worth telling. The original's charm lay in its self-contained narrative, a tragic origin that painted the Joker as a byproduct of a broken society. Trying to expand on that with a sequel feels like trying to force a continuation where there's none to be had. Many critics, like Kevin Maher of The Times, pointed out that the film simply doesn't want or need to exist. Instead of crafting a new, compelling narrative, the movie spends much of its time revisiting the themes of the first film, with diminishing returns. The sequel lacks the emotional weight and dramatic tension that made the original resonate. It's as if the filmmakers hoped the controversy and discussions from the first movie would carry this one too, but without a meaningful new angle, it just feels redundant. The musical misfire an idea that went off key. One of the boldest and most controversial choices was to incorporate musical elements into the film. On paper, this sounded like a potentially daring move. Using musical numbers as a way to represent Arthur Fleck's fractured reality could have provided a creative lens through which to view his descent into madness. In practice, however, these sequences often come across as awkward and tonally inconsistent, clashing with the film's darker elements. The movie starts off with some promise. Arthur's psychosis is portrayed through surreal musical numbers, which at first seem to serve as a window into his mind. These breaks in reality, however, quickly turn from intriguing to gimmicky. As the film goes on, the musical numbers become more elaborate and far-fetched, veering into campy territory. A particularly notorious scene involves Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn and Phoenix's Arthur doing a Sunny Cheer-style performance, which feels more like a sketch show parody than a serious character moment. For many, this was the point where the movie lost its grip. What could have been a thought-provoking stylistic choice instead feels like a mishandled experiment, with several musical numbers coming off as tacky or forced rather than integral to the story. The attempt to blend musical theater with a grim psychological thriller results in a tone that's all over the place, leaving viewers confused rather than captivated. Alienating the audience, a movie aiming for controversy instead of quality. One of the biggest criticisms leveled at Joker Folie Deux is that it seems to be less about telling a good story and more about making a statement specifically. A statement against the so-called incel subculture that some associated with the original film's fan base. The sequel takes the opportunity to directly address the discourse surrounding the first movie, with the plot appearing to openly mock Arthur Fleck's disillusioned followers. In Folie Deux, Arthur, during his trial, renounces the Joker persona and rejects the loyalty of his cult-like followers. This blatant dismissal doesn't just alienate the characters in the film, it feels like a middle finger to the real-world fans who connected with the original for various reasons. While some might argue that this was a clever way to critique the darker aspects of the original film's reception, it comes off as overly blunt and self-satisfied. The movie's narrative approach seems to say, if you identified with the Joker's plight in the first film, you're part of the problem. This heavy-handed meta-commentary may appeal to a specific crowd, but it inadvertently shuts out a much larger audience that was simply looking for a compelling follow-up. The filmmaker's attempt to address the divisive cultural conversation surrounding the first movie feels misguided, as it reduces the film to a response piece rather than allowing it to stand on its own merits. Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn, a missed opportunity. Much of the hype surrounding Folie Deux revolved around the casting of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, a character known for her chaotic energy and complex relationship with the Joker. While Gaga brings her trademark intensity to the role, the writing lets her down. Her character arc, starting as a devoted fan of the Joker and ending in disillusionment, lacks the depth needed to make her transformation believable. Instead of offering a fresh take on Harley, the film relies on tired tropes, presenting her as a manic pixie dream girl gone wrong. Her relationship with Arthur Fleck feels more like a series of disjointed moments than a cohesive evolution. While there are flashes of chemistry between Gaga and Phoenix, the film doesn't invest enough time in developing their dynamic, leaving the emotional beats feeling unearned. The script's attempt to blend romance with psychological drama doesn't fully succeed, with several scenes between them feeling more awkward than compelling. The ending a grim, unsatisfying conclusion. The film's finale, in which Arthur is stabbed to death by a disillusioned follower, feels like a cynical way to end the story. While some may argue that it serves as a commentary on the dangers of idolizing flawed figures, the execution lacks subtlety. The final moments are abrupt and feel more like a shock tactic than a fitting resolution. This ending leaves viewers with a sense of emptiness, rather than the thought-provoking reflection that the original film offered. The overall verdict a case study in trying too hard. Ultimately, Joker Folie Deux feels like a sequel that's trying too hard to be controversial and subversive, rather than focusing on delivering a good film. It's filled with audacious stylistic choices, like the musical numbers, that feel more like gimmicks than genuine attempts to deepen the narrative. The decision to base so much of the movie around the discourse from the first film, without adding new layers to Arthur's story, results in a film that's more concerned with making a point than telling a compelling tale. Audience and critical response united in disappointment. The reviews speak for themselves. With a score around 33% on Rotten Tomatoes from both critics and audiences, it's clear that Joker Folie Deux has failed to resonate. The film's attempt to be bold and different has mostly resulted in frustration, with many feeling that the risks it took were simply not worth it. Social media reactions have ranged from outright anger to disappointment, with some calling it a waste of time and others saying it ruined their appreciation for the original film. Instead of capturing the nuanced character study that made the first Joker impactful, Folie Deux ends up as an unfocused experiment, leaving audiences wondering why they bothered to watch it at all. The film's failure serves as a reminder that some stories are better left as they are, without unnecessary sequels that diminish the impact of the original. So what do you think? Did Joker Folie Deux take a bold risk that paid off? Or was it a misstep that proves some stories are better left as they are? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more deep dives into the world of film. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.